and the drinks are on my mind. The decision sets in, one that will churn your skin. The lover's right, let them have their time. And I have this notion, let's keep these wheels in motion. In motion. You thought I did not know. Did you think I would let it go? Oh no. And in time, yes, I'll think it's absurd, but until then you'll leave your words. But lay on, lay on. Now it's time to defend your lies, lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh darling, you say that you are innocent, but your ways, they seem irrelevant, but still play on. Now it's time to defend your lies, lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh darling, have you reached your lover's end? No more will we make pretend like we something to fight for. Oh. We had nothing to fight for. 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 tease, but you still force the worst upon me, upon me. All you wanted was love, but that was never enough. No, never enough. 'Cause you were chasing your dreams, now you can't redeem yourself. 'Cause you were chasing your dreams, now you can't redeem yourself. Disregarding your name, your smell is all that remains. They say you're an SLUT, but that doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me. I remembered what you'd say. We're all looking to be alone. And somehow, someday, we'll find what we're looking for. Till then, you'll still be a whore. Me who I have become. Don't tell me who I have become. Say we're all looking to be alone. And somehow, someday, we'll find what we're looking for. Until then, we will all be yours. We'll all be yours. We'll all be yours.
Good evening, race fans. I'm Pirate here, Black Flag Racing TV. Of course it is. We are here for the Open GR3. We're running a little bit behind, just because one of the drivers has had to do a quick emergency dash to go and pick up a child. So we're going to find something to fill 10 minutes of time with. Yeah, so basically that's what's happening. Is we're going to find some shit to do for 10 minutes or so. So what I'm going to do initially, I think, is I think what we'll do, we'll have a quick look at the where we stand in terms of the results from last week. Bear with me. It's thrown me right out now because I wasn't expecting that. Right, so there we go. We were a big willow last week. The big giant penis-shaped track, or whale, depending on how filthy your mind is. That's how the table looks after that race. PM10, narrow lead at the top of the championship. Just 3 points in it. And now he's away on holiday. Good evening, Phil. How the bloody hell are you, man? Yeah, now he's on holiday. He's going to miss a couple. That should give Kevin the impetus to just jump back above him this evening. We're in Croatia this evening, of course, for Dragon Trail Gardens. I keep getting mixed up with Seaside, but it is Gardens. But your top three, well, the top four in the championship at the minute, because Avalon and Demos, equal points, both on 80 points going into this race. Wiggy Star Groot, 68 points in 5th place. And the new GR4 champion, VR46, just 7 points behind Wiggy in 6th place. And I'm sure he'll want to try and jump him this evening. After my escapades last week, I actually jumped up above Cool Rands. Well, I say above. It's joint, 12 points each. Would have G-Star 4 points, J for Rooms 3, Aussie Restart 3 points. That's the 19 have run. This evening, who have we got? We're going to have 11 this evening when Grizz Troopers does get back. So there we go. That's where we stand. And this is where we are this week. Croatian racetrack. It is 4.3 kilometres to just over 2.7 miles, 14 turns, and it is an original circuit, but it is designed after an actual place. It's, you know, the Dragon Trail itself is a place in Croatia, but the racetrack itself is a fictional, and it's tarmac surface. Of the two Dragon Trail tracks, I think I like this one a little bit better than Seaside. Seaside, you know, it's a good track, but I actually think this is a good track for all classes. Whereas I think Seaside's very much suited to just like GR3, GR4. I quite like the versatility of this particular layout, in that it's you can run sort of tuned cars, you can run quite small hatchbacks and that kind of thing around here, and it doesn't feel out of place. And you can also race it with sort of GR1s, GR2s as well, and still doesn't feel that far out of place. But really, really cool racetrack. So what we'll do, we've got to fill in a little bit of time until Grizz gets back. So shall I stick on? Let me find you some shit to do while we wait. Let's see if I can find a video or two for you. I should have something prepared, but ordinarily I don't. That's the thing. I'm not that well organised, so why would I be? Let's have a look, see what I can find for you. How about some of this? Where are they? Talk amongst yourselves while I find it. I know what I'm looking for. Haven't done one of these for the last couple of weeks, but Here we go. Here's something to wet your little whistle. Assuming it works, of course. Hold on, call up. Right, here we go. How about some of this?
Tick. 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 tick, 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 tick.
There we go. That was something to fill in a bit of time before Grizz returns. Shouldn't be too much longer actually before he gets here. We'll have a little talk about what's going on Black Flag over the next, well, for the foreseeable. You may have seen on Monday we had the finish of the end of the GR4, and the newly crowned champion snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. With Wiggy coming second in the championship, BFeR46 taking the crown. Wiggy had a terrible second race, just one of those really, really unlucky moments. Went for what probably would have been the overtake of the century, had it not gone slightly wrong. Got a little tag from G-Mac going around on the inside. He was overtaking two cars, and it clipped him into the wall essentially, and 2 miles of that wall completely unbroken. He would have bounced off it, nothing much would have happened. But it just so happened a bit of wall that he touched had a little bit of a hole in it, and he literally went through that 1 foot hole and spun round, and it sent him flying to the back of the pack. And then from there it was always going to be a very, very difficult uphill challenge, and made worse obviously by the fact that Fubar drove like an absolute demon on Monday and made it incredibly difficult for Wiggy to beat him. And therefore, the newly crowned champion is BFeR46 for the GR4 lottery. Slight change to Mondays from next week. We move into Gauntlet, and that is essentially you turn up and we wait for. Basically, we have a room set up, and everyone goes in a room, and then we do a roll, a randomizer, and it will tell us the car, it will tell us the tracks, it will tell us the class, it will tell us what weather we use, tyres we use, everything. So no one has an opportunity to practice, and everyone basically just races a couple of half-hour races in that format. We do that for 6 weeks, and that will tie in very nicely with the end of this GR3 on a Wednesday. Then we have a new open GR4 starting on Mondays, and we might tie in the GR4 and the GR3 into a sort of manufacturer's challenge. So if you race in, I mean, you're free to race in one or the other. You don't have to race in both. But if you do race in both the GR4 and the GR3, you use the same manufacturer for both classes. Kind of like the manufacturers' races on the sort of Gran Turismo World Tour kind of jobby. We're going to play around with that and see. It's a potential idea, but we'll see what we do with that. Other things going on. Porsche Cup's obviously now finished. Great performance from everyone from Black Flag. I mean, everyone involved in Porsche Cup anyway. Some brilliant driving from all round. And Porsche Cup has brought, as you may have noticed, a couple of new really talented drivers onto the roster in Slipstream and Kaizen. Slipstream, you can catch him. His first Black Flag race was last Thursday in Rivals. We'll see him again tomorrow here for the Evo versus WRX Rivals series, which has still got a couple of weeks left before we crown a champion of that one as well. So welcome Kaizen, who joined us yesterday, and Slipstream, who joined us last week. They're going to be representing us in the upcoming GTC World Cup, which starts in just a couple of weeks for the qualifying, and then on we go from there. It's going to be 4 divisions of World Cup racing. It's going to be awesome. We've also got on a Sunday evening, we've got a number of drivers competing in another Porsche Cup for, and I want to get this right, it's the Wheelspin Racing Porsche Cup. Now, not confirmed exactly how many numbers, but I think we're looking at probably 6, 7 or 8 drivers competing in that, which will be starting very soon as well. Looking forward to that one. On top of that, it's a return of the GT Fusion World Team Championship, which will start in, I think, the middle of March, so just a couple of weeks before that starts. Really unfortunate, because there was a sort of pre-Fusion event, endurance event, which was on Saturday, which would have been broadcast live, but unfortunately we had that bug thrust upon us, which, touch wood, has been fixed today with a patch. Now, anyone that knows Gran Turismo knows it's incredibly unusual for PD to fix something quite so quickly, which demonstrates to me that they know they did properly get that wrong. And I think the moment the update came out,
it was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Yeah, the person who pushed the button knew, but they've repaired that and it's sorted now. So we've got that to look forward to as well. In terms of F1 stuff, we're back with Smoking Pirellis tomorrow. It's round 9, to the penultimate round, I think, of the Thursday Tier 1. We saw the penultimate round of the Tuesday racing yesterday, of course. That was followed by the pre-season and the reveal for LNR, which starts next week. Season 7 of the F1 starts next Tuesday from 8:45 p.m. here on Black Flag Racing TV. Saturday, of course. Let's not forget Friday. Friday we've got more F1 action with Euro trips. And this Friday, and I'm not sure when the podcast is going out, but this Friday I will be doing an interview for the Euro Trips F1 podcast. The interview is on Friday afternoon. I'm not sure when the podcast is going out, but I'll let you know. And we're just going to talk about, how we feel that, or how I feel that the pre-season testing went for Formula One, and my thoughts for the upcoming season. Like best cars, worst cars, that kind of thing. Essentially, it's going to be half hour of me telling the world that I think Lewis Hamilton's a knob, or something along those lines. And then, of course, Friday we've got the Euro Trips F1 racing. Then on Saturday, back with the Staying Power Endurance event, round number 3. And thankfully, we can broadcast this again because it is such an awesome little competition. I say now, it's incredibly popular with full lobbies every single time. And this week, we are off to St. Croix C, and we're in the, if I remember rightly, the GR1s. So really interesting. That's going to be. Already, we have 12 drivers signed up for that event. So if you want to get involved, there is literally just a couple of spaces left for you to get involved in that one. Brilliant event that is, and it's 2 hours, and it emulates a 24-hour time cycle. So day, night, it's random weather, anything can happen. Don't know, St. Croix offers the ability to get wet, but if it does, it could go horribly wrong. And then Sunday we're back with the Lithuanian National GR3 Championship, which the last race went out on Monday afternoon from the replay, because we couldn't broadcast it as we would have liked to. But loads of really exciting stuff coming up on Black Flag Racing TV, and it's in HD now, HD 4K, and all them other pointless letters and numbers. Just still waiting for Bruce Troopers to turn. Who is just this upcoming race, of course. So that is literally everything at the moment. Shouldn't take long before it gets back. At least we can still. On the fly maintenance, how about that? Done. Lap times today, what do I reckon? Well, I think we're probably looking, Chris Trips is back to the start very soon. Let's have a quick look through the runners list, shall we? The newly crowned GR4 champion, there is the R46. He will be, Sturpan's in. Racing. Not Van Pass, Demos, Avalon, Sturpan, Panos, Thanos Bandit, there is Stormfly, he's there as well. Canados Grizz Troopers, I should wait till everyone's. So we've got 12. I think, no, we have the 11 as forms. Just checking. Do check out some new programs. Awesome resource. That makes this so much easier to do. 1 minute until when it starts. Well, now I reckon qualifying lap's going to be somewhere around 1:30, maybe 1:29. It's super quick. I think it's obviously depends as well on the weather conditions. But I'm surprised to see someone as a solid today. Just looking down the list, I think we're missing. Demos is there. BFeR46 is there. Avalon is there. Bandit is there. Bandit Grizz. Pretty much everything there. Cannabis is missing. No, it's not. Cannabis is there. We're going to use it. It's clearly something. Let's just get in watch conference. How's that? Is that a better sound? But it's weird, since all the new gears come in, actually the mic, I don't know if it's the mic just seems to be slightly off kilter, not quite as loud as it used to be. but I've got it up to 4.0, so maybe I'll have to tweak something somewhere to improve that. Right, so we didn't get a chance to go on board and start the lap. We'll find something else to start the lap now, shall we? Where is he? He's just started. I can't find him. There he is. Right, so there's Bandit. So you come around, this is your first turn, and you're pretty much flat out through most of it. I can't turn the mic up any louder than it is, Jason. It's the loudest it possibly can be. So I'm going to have to look at that and see if there's some way I can improve the quality of the sound through the microphone. Don't know why it's quite so quiet. Everything's plugged in, so I don't know. Is the honest answer. I have turned them down a bit. I can turn them down a bit more if you want me to. How's that? That should be much better actually. Yeah, I've had to mess around. Obviously, the settings have already set themselves back to old settings, so I need to tweak it as I go. So there you go. There's the first pole lap set. As I said, it's sub 130, 129.1 from Kevin 77. There he is. He's just set that 29.1. Stormfly just 6/10 behind. He's done a 29.7. Demos, he currently third, just under 2/10 back. He's done a 129.9, and he's being held up behind Thanos at the moment, who is currently sitting in 4th place on road 2. Just half a second difference, just under half a second. 130.3 for him. So at the moment, everyone in those 130s. Panos with a 130.4. Nothing really between him and Thanos at the moment. That BMW performing very well in the GR3. Avalon in the 911, 130.9. The thing is that he's won that pace. Isn't necessarily top 3, top 4. But one thing that Avalon does bring to the table is incredible tyre and fuel saving. And it always helps him gain 2 or 3 places in that Porsche 911. Canados running in 7th currently, 131.0 for him. Wiggy yet to set a lap. He's out there now. He has set one, but it wasn't great, so he's out there going again and see what he can do in that Ford GT40. Bandit in the Mustang, 132.7 from him, but certainly there is some potential for a hotter lap than that on the table for Bandit. That's, I think, his favourite car, that Mustang. You find that once a driver has found their little car, their little niche, that that's when the performance tends to come out. Gridge Troopers running in 10th currently, 135.1. Definitely some more time in there for him. And Sturpan at the moment in the Mercedes-Benz, 146.8, which isn't very quick at all. That one didn't even count, so he must have picked up a penalty. But we'll go on board actually with Sturpan for a full lap around here. Now we can actually do that. So to set the lap up, you've got these two final turns here, and they're key. You want to get on the power as quickly as you can through that the second one of those 2 turns. Heading down towards the line, you've got the pit entrance on your left-hand side there, of course. So you head across the line, pull out as far wide right as you can, little lift and a drop down to 4th gear, and then you can power that car through, keeping it on those rumble strips. Then use the first big braking zone, 100-metre board, get on those brakes, changing down to 2nd gear, catch the apex before you accelerate through these next couple of turns, and you can cut a lot of that corner. Just make sure you don't get bogged down on that sausage. You want to get it right in between the wheels. Then a nice long run down to this this is the biggest braking zone off the circuit, all the way down to 2nd or 1st gear to get the rotation before again you get back on that power. And you just got to be a little bit careful through here, particularly if you're running the medium compound tyres. You might need a little lift just to make sure you've got the grip. Again, dropping down a gear through here, staying in 3rd gear as you bring it round, and then you've got this beautiful, it's like almost like a 50-pence piece succession of corners. So you change down for the first one, but then you can power your way through the last 3, 1, 2 and 3. So if you get it right on the first one, you can accelerate through the next 3 corners there as you head up under the little tunnel, looking for that 100-metre board on the brakes. Turned in nice and early, let it drift very wide, because then you can turn in and get on that power and head down towards the line. This is looking like a much hotter lap from Sturpan. 31.4 was his previous best time, and that puts him on the second row. That's a 1:29.9. So 4 drivers have gone sub 1 minute 30 here at Dragon Trail, and that's a really, really good start from those 4. But this is how the grid looks with just a couple of minutes left of qualifying. It is on pole Kevin 77, who will today regain the lead of this championship with Paul being on holiday. Stormfly running in second in the 911. He joins him on that front row. Demos and Sturpan will be on row 2, and my first opportunity to use this.
You can't park that there, mate.
Yeah, you can't park that there, mate. Thanos running in 5th place. He's on row 3. He's got Thanos alongside him. Oh, there's another one.
I crashed. You crashed? How are you coming fast?
And there's Panos' teammate in the BMW that will be alongside him on row 3. Row 4 at the moment is Avalon and Canados. He's tucked in there behind Canados with a bit of slipstream. Does that give him a better, hotter lap? Indeed it does, and that puts him up onto row 3, pushing down Thanos and Panos. Canados in 8th place with Wiggy in 9th. He's joined on the 5th row by Bandit, and Grizz Troopers on the 6th row in 11th in the American Muscle. 1:35.1 for Grizz Troopers. Did you like that, Jay? Did you like my little thingy? I think I've got them all working now. I've got other bits as well, which I'll drop in later. So, think we've got 5 minutes left of qualifying. Last real opportunity to start setting a hot lap, because if you're going to go in, you're going to have to bear in mind they all start with half a tank of fuel. So get in there, get some new fuel on, get some new tyres on, and your last chance to blast at trying to improve your starting position. At the moment, the man to beat, there he is, half a second clear of Stormfly at the moment. Demos still in 3rd place. He's literally less than 1/100th of a second slower than Stormfly, and could potentially he just needs to find that 100th somewhere. Can he find it? Not that time, he can't. He's done a 1:29.7. That's the only one other lap he's had sub 1:30, so he's not finding it easy to find that extra 100th. Stormfly's been quite regularly in the 29s since qualifying started, as Kevin, but he's had a couple of really good ones. That 1:29.1 being, of course, the fastest. So, 3.5 minutes left of qualifying, and no real change. Front row is still Kevin and Stormfly. Row 2 still Demos and Sturpan in the Mercedes-Benz. Row 3 is still Panos and Avalon, and Avalon his usual jumping into the pits early. Yeah, TJ, they love this GR3, buddy. They love this GR3, but the rest of you guys don't love it quite so much. Thanos and Canados on row 4. Then we've got Wiggy and Bandit on row 5. Wiggy's been struggling a little bit in this GT40. I think there's been a few tracks that haven't really suited this car. It's not a shit car, to be fair, but I think it needs something where it can spend more time in a straight line. The Porsche Cup to the Greek Cup. It can be the Greek National Championship. But then you can say that about we've had lobbies which are full of you Dutch people, so it's probably just as bad. There's Bandit. He's in the Ford Mustang with the big Puma tick on the top. Grizz Troopers, the American driver. In the pits, he's going to have one final blast, or is he? Yeah, it looks like he's going to have one final crack at a new qualified time. He's only 7/10 behind Bandit in terms of pace at the moment. So Stormfly still there, and Demos still can't find that extra 1/100th of a second that he needs to put himself on the front row. This is his outlap. He's going to have one more shot at this, and we'll see if he can manage it. Sturpan as well is looking pretty racy. He's only 2/10 behind Demos. He could potentially upset the apple cart, and he could potentially steal that front row position from Demos, which would be devastating for Demos, of course. So at the moment we've got 2 Greek drivers in the front 3. We've got 4 Greek drivers in the front 5. You have a suggestion for Saturday night, do you, Jason? I'm not doing that again. The last time I did it, I was drunk and I was feeling vulnerable, but I'm not doing it again, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, TJ, while you're here, mate.
How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
Just for you, mate. Just for you. So 1 minute left. If you're not on track now, it's not going to happen. You're not going to improve your time. Kevin's on his final hot lap and he has improved a little bit. He's done a 29.0. Is there a sub 1 minute 29 in this track? I'm not entirely. I'd like to be confident there isn't. Yeah, I'll speak to him, see if he wants to do it. I will speak to him. Good idea. Jason will speak to him, see if he wants to do it. I might make the offer and he might say,
how dare you?
But you never know. So 29.0 for Kevin. Last chance to see if he can go sub 129. Stormfly still on row 2. Can he improve? He doesn't improve that time. He's got, I think, 1 more lap, is it? I thought it was a 15-minute qualifying, but it appears that we have more than 15 minutes of qualifying. Oh no, it is. So qualifying is done. So final lap for everybody. Whatever lap you're on, this is your last lap. Sturpan's done. Thanos, he's still on a hot lap. He's giving it one final burst of beans to see if he can nick maybe a high position. Maybe move himself up to row 2 ahead of Sturpan or Demos. 130.0, his fastest lap so far. And I've got to be honest, it doesn't look like he's going super duper quick here. I think he's going to be slower, in fact, as he comes around those final 2 corners. It's very close though. But looking at the run down there, no, he's going to pull off into the pits. He knows he hasn't got the pace to do it. So Kevin is your pole sitter. There he is. He has pole position for this race. Unsurprisingly, he's always going to be there or thereabouts. And this will catapult him. I mean, of course, he has to finish the race, of course, and we know that he has had technical problems this season already. Nothing to say that that's not going to happen again. But Kevin is the pole sitter for this particular race. He is joined on front row by Stormfly. Demos and Sturpan are on row 2. Thanos and Panos on row 3. Avalon and Canados will be on row 4. Wiggy and Bandit on row 5, and Grizz Troopers on row 6. They've got to use 2 compounds of tyres. Soft and mediums would be the suggestions. In terms of how long they last, the tyres, well, we'll see. Is anyone going to start on the medium tyres so they can just run on the softs? Because I suppose it depends how long you can run the softs for. If the softs can last 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, then maybe. I don't think they're going to last 40 minutes. I think we're probably looking at a 2-stopper with probably 20 minutes a stint, there or thereabouts. Whether you do your first stint on the mediums or your last stint, I think that's down to personal preference, but I think you're better off getting rid of them as early as you possibly can. So that's the grid for this next upcoming race. And yeah, the cameras are looking good. Everything's working. No problems at all. I'd like to say I'm going to take back what I said on Sunday. I'm not going to take it back because it shouldn't have been fucked up in the first place. But thank you very much, PD, for addressing the concerns of the millions of people that have lined your pockets and fixing this little issue for us. Not a little issue, it was a massive issue. But thank you for fixing it anyway. No, it doesn't, Jason. I did try that. Such a shame, but you know, we can't have everything we want. I'm just happy, to be honest. As much as I would like my keyboard controls back for camera angles and for changing cars and for replays, I'm very pleased that we've just got back to where we should have been in the first place for the time being. It was so utterly bad that I'm just happy they fixed that. If they want to give me my keyboard controls in the next update, I will gladly accept. But I'm not going to moan about it at this stage. So it's going to be, so with what, 1 minute 30, so we're looking at probably about, what, 45 laps, thereabouts, give or take, 4 pit stops, so 44, 45 laps will be the, will take us for the 60 minutes here. Really, really cool track as well. Lots of overtaking opportunities. Turn 1 for the brave. You can either chuck one up the inside of a gap is left, or you can overtake around the outside here at turn 1. Turn 2 and 3, not necessarily so. Turn 4, certainly an opportunity there. Massive opportunities in turn 5. How is my soundboard organised at the moment? In no particular, I've just got stuff on it, and the more I get them, the more organised it will become. But I've just got things next to it with words written on them, so I know what's on them. But it's already up to 2 pages. It's got other. It's not just got sounds on it. It's got other controls on there as well, like being able to turn the mic on and off. And I haven't got the TJ mute button just yet, but I will get one. So here we go. This is the other question: do we get to stay in the camera view, or do we still have to jump out? That'd be cool to see if they fix that. So that's 3. That's 4. That's 5 lights. They will go out, and we will be away here at Dragon Trail Gardens, and a good start from everybody. Nobody really bogged down, and Thanos making a move through the middle of Sturpan and Demos, and up into 3rd place as we head into turn 1, and it's looking pretty clean. Demos very, very wide into turn 1.
You can't park that there, mate.
And that drops him way down the order. But a great move from Thanos, initially getting up to 3rd place. But Kevin away in the lead, already pulled the 2nd out on VR46. He's running in 2nd place in that 911, pulling away a little bit from Sturpan. Sturpan is ahead of Thanos, who great move initially. He's got Canados just behind him, trying to find a way through. There is Canados right there, but Canados has got Panos in 6th place in the BMW. Really putting pressure on the back of that Viper. There he is Panos at the moment. Bandit in 7th place in the Ford Mustang Sally. There's no red flag necessary there. There's Demos. We saw him go off in lap 1, turn 1 in even, and yeah, there he is now in 8th place. Lot of work for him to do now to move himself back up the order, and he's tucked in behind Bandit. Is there a potential overtake here? Has he got the pace? Good overtaking opportunity into these last 2 corners, but it's all about being brave. He almost tags the back of Bandit. Does he? If he gets a good run here though, it doesn't really. Actually, Bandit gets a much better run out of the final turn 14, than Demos does, and I think he's going to hold him off for a little while. The move not on there at all. Wiggy running in 9th place. He is ahead of Gridge Troopers, and Avalon has had a terrible start because he is down in 11th place. I didn't see what happened to him, but did he get caught up in the shenanigans with Demos early on? I did see, you know, with the charge of Thanos through the middle, did that maybe hold Avalon up and not give him the space he needed? But he's already 8.8 seconds back, and I'm sure he's not happy about that. But, you know, the race has started. We're on lap 2, and I'm just going to pass over to my mate Sam.
Everybody strap in!
Absolutely, they'll do that, and we'll get racing, shall we, Sam? Yeah, let's do that. So Kevin leads the way, Stormfly sticking with him, just 0.6 of a second. It's going to be about patience. That's what's going to be key here, is, you know, waiting for the moment to make your move. As I said, there's a lot of places to overtake around here, but it's also somewhere where it can go very, very wrong if you get it wrong. So you just need to be patient and bide your time, look after your tyres, look after your fuel, and make the move when the opportunity presents itself. Fastest lap of the race, as you would expect. No, it wasn't actually. The fastest lap was from Stormfly. He did a 1:29.7. That's a very, very quick lap this early on. Running in 2nd place. That's the view he's got in front of him at the moment, which is the back of Kevin's car. And this is the view that a lot of people see on a semi-regular basis. Usually, it's disappearing off into the sunset like a horse that's bolted after someone left the door open. Is he going to make a move around the outside? Stormfly up into the lead briefly. Does he hold it? Does he do the old switcheroo around the outside and keep first place? No, he doesn't. Kevin takes a nice tight line up the inside and stays in the lead of this race. But for the time being, how long can he sustain the lead of this race? Because the pressure from Stormfly is very, very intense at the moment, into this little 50 pence piece section. And as I said, this is where you go in pretty slowly. You take the apex here and then you power through the gears, second, third, fourth as you come around here. And then on the power fully, flat to the floor, heading up the hill, ready to start another lap. This is the end of lap 3. It should be 45 laps here. We've got 4 minutes into the race already, and we do still have this little resource, this little nugget of a resource, so we can keep an eye on tyres and fuel. Everybody, I think, has started on the soft compound tyres. Kevin did certainly. Stormfly, Thanos has, Sturpan has as well, as has Canados, Panos also, Demos, Bandit, Wiggy, Grizz has started on the medium compound tyres. So he's looking to get rid of those crappy mediums early doors and then run on the soft compounds once he's emptied that tank of fuel. And Avalon just tucked in behind him, he's also on the soft compound tyre. In terms of the pit window, I think we're looking somewhere between sort of lap 8 and lap 10 for the first pit stops. I think depending on how quickly you're going to burn through your fuel, but certainly I think lap 8 is when we'll see the majority. Lap 8 or 9 is when we'll see the majority diving in and putting on some nice juicy fuel to take them further into the race. And we'll get a good indication actually when they go in at the sort of wear to expect on the soft compound tyre. Kevin not pulling away from Stormfly at the minute. 0.6 of a second is where the gap is maintaining. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. I'm sure Stormfly will be happy that he's keeping up with him and that there might potentially be an opportunity. And we have noticed, there is, Kevin is fallible. Not often, but occasionally he does make mistakes. And it's going to be about whether you can capitalise on those mistakes when they happen. I do want to get rid of this on top of the cars because I know whose car's what by now. So yeah, it is about kind of managing that. The kind of the distances and making sure that if there is a mistake made by another car that you do put yourself in the position to do something about it. GR4 will be on Mondays like it always is, mate. Once the what's it called, gauntlet thing is finished, we're going to start the GR4. Likelihood is that GR4 and GR3 will run side by side, so you'll have GR4 on a Monday, GR3 on a Wednesday, as we usually have. But it'll be week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will all be at the same time, and we'll do it as a sort of manufacturer's competition. So you can race in just GR4 or race just in GR3. But if you choose to race in both, you do it as a manufacturer's competition, and we'll have a little competition for that as well. So manufacturer versus manufacturer, but just for people running in both, not for people running in separate competitions. Well, I suppose it could do. Doesn't really matter, does it? But it does obviously mean that you won't be able to change your car. So pick wisely, young Padawan. Pick wisely.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, nobody got time for that car changing bullshit. Left is drier than an Arab sand shoe. So Kevin leading the way, 0.7 of a second, just starting to settle in and pull away a little bit from Stormfly. But they've pulled out a huge gap now in the lead of this race. Already, after just 6 laps, it's 7.2 seconds between Stormfly running in second and Thanos running in third place. He's got himself ahead of Sturpan. We saw him make a great move up the inside of a couple of cars, or up the middle, through the middle of a couple of cars, right at the beginning of this race, and he settled in and found his little niche there in third at the moment. And usually this is where we see Demos running, but we saw him go off early doors, and it's effectively he's way back at the moment. Sturpan 2.3 seconds back, and he is at the head of a bit of a train. And in that train we've got Canados, we've got Panos, we've got Demos, and they're all within pretty much, I think it's nothing more than what, a second and a half separating Sturpan right back to Demos at the moment. Really good battle going in there. Bandit 9.7 seconds behind in the Mustang at the moment in 8th place, ahead of Wiggy. We're going to have a look at Wiggy in a moment, but we can see these four battling it out for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th place. Really close battling as well. Are any of these going to make a move here early on? The other question is anyone going to go in and pit early and maybe try and find a little bit extra bit of time with an undercut? That's the word. Undercut was the word I was looking for. And here is Demos. Is he going to make a move now on Panos? It looks like he is. He's going up the inside, but he does. The thing is that the tighter you take that turn, the slower you have to be to stop yourself from doing what Demos did on that one, which is disappear off to the right hand side and onto that grass. But he is getting closer and closer, quite a lot of lag in that car as well. It's a bit frustrating. But that'll be the connection from the Greek islands. Well, it could be the Greek mainland, I suppose. I didn't actually check. Good overtaking opportunity here under braking, but again, just very good on the brakes, Panos, not leaving any gap for Demos to dive into. So they stay in that same order. Sturpan, Canados, Panos, Demos, unchanged in those positions. 11.4 seconds back to Bandit in the Mustang. End of lap 7, this one he's going to pit, so actually he's pitting earlier than I expected them to. There was me thinking it was going to be lap 8, the pit window open, but I think the Mustang is drinking fuel like he's a thirsty man, a thirsty builder in the pub drinking his first pint. And Stormfly actually in very early as well, so Stormfly at the end of lap 7. So I underestimate a little bit. Avalon is ahead of Wiggy. Has Wiggy had a problem in that GT40? Now he will certainly go at least one more, maybe 2 more laps. And we can see here just how well he's doing with the tyres and fuel in that GT40. So Stormfly in, Bandit in, Avalon will stay out for another lap in the 911. He'll gain a couple of places here as Bandit stays in the pits. Grizz Troopers, he's pit very early. He pits out very early on and has come out on lap 7 with fresh tyres and a nice full tank of fuel to be running with. So he decided for an early pit stop as well. Kevin stays out for one more lap. He'll be coming in bang on the pit window that I suggested. And I mean, look at that grouping of pace. 30.1, 30.4, 30.2, 30.0, 30.5. Very consistent. Thanos promoted to second by virtue of the pit stops. 12.4 seconds is that gap. He is running in the sort of mid-31s. But as the fuel's dropping off, you can see he's dropping down into the low 132s. And he is 4.4 seconds clear of this gaggle of cars. Sturpan, Canados, Demos and Panos. So Demos has gained another place because Panos is at the back of that pack of 4 now in the BMW. Is there another move coming on? I think all 4 of them are going to peel off to the left-hand side. Are they? No, 2 of them do. That's those 2. That's Panos in the BMW and Canados in the... I can't remember what car he's in. He's in that one. The Corvette. That's what I meant. So that leaves Demos. Sturpan takes the lead of this race. He's going one more lap. He's ahead of Kevin. Kevin comes back out on the medium compound tyres in 3rd place. Will regain the lead of this race, of course, when Sturpan and Demos come in at the end of lap 9. Will they follow the same strategy? Will they jump in on the medium compound tyres, or have they got another strategy in mind? Once they've been in, we'll have a look and see. Oh shit! I have no idea. I didn't even write what was on that one. Yeah. So there we go. So Sturpan currently takes the lead of the race, and for him it's fuck yeah. But it won't last for long because he will drop down the order once him and Demos go in. Now the problem is, is pitting late here beneficial? We're soon going to find out if it's given them any kind of advantage over the other drivers by staying out that little bit longer. We know they're going to lose the place to Kevin, and very likely Stormfly as well. But Avalon's going to come in as well. So it's really about, I mean, at the moment, Thanos is 19 seconds back from Sturpan. So it'll be interesting to see how long they're in the pits. And Thanos, Canados, there's only 26 seconds. And there's Canados off the track. That gap's going to get much bigger.
You can't park that there, mate.
Yeah, so...
How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
And your crushing of your cars. So Canados drops way down the order. Right, so Kevin takes the lead. Stormfly regains second place. 1.8 seconds is the gap between the two. In terms of tyres, Kevin's come out on the mediums, full tank of fuel. Stormfly on the mediums with also slightly under full tank. Thanos also on the mediums, he's gone almost full tank. Demos on the mediums with a very full tank. He comes out in fourth place, and he's got Sturpan all over him. Also on the medium tyres, also with a full tank of fuel. There's Panos. He is in the BMW. He has gone just under full tank fueled, and he is running on the medium tyres. Bandit also on the mediums. Avalon has also gone for the medium tyres. Wiggy also. Everybody gone for the medium tyres by the looks of things, other than, of course, we know Canados has. But Grizz Trooper's now on the soft compound tyres. He started on the medium tyres and is now going to try and use those soft tyres to make a move on Canados, and he's getting close to the back, the two yellow cars, into the hairpin. They're both going to go through. How close is Grizz Trooper's going to be when he gets on that power? Can he close on the back of Canados and gain himself a position? He's on the better tyres. Now, the thing is, he's going to have to pit sooner than the cars in front of him, so the only way to really make this strategy work is to try and get 2 or 3 places gained and maybe pull out a little bit of a lead on the soft compound tyres. But obviously it depends as well how long they can run for. It looked to me that half a tank was probably not too far off what they're going to burn out on the soft compound tyres before they change. And actually Canados seems to be pulling away on those medium tyres from the front of that Corvette. Corridors. Moving up the order. So Thanos now 15 seconds back from the front to Stormfly and Kevin. Stormfly's closed the gap a little bit, down to 1.4 seconds. He's closed that gap to, which is and it's not a bad gap you need to manage. But bear in mind that most of the first stint he was only 6/10 back and did pit a little bit sooner. So you're going to notice that there's a bit of there's going to be a bit of disparity in the kind of pit stop. So we won't really see until the final stops just how close or far apart people are. Thanos running in third. As I said, he was 15.7 seconds back from that battle out in front. But 3.9 clear of Demos, who's worked his way, after that spin on lap 1, he's worked his way back up into that top 4. Some really solid pace from him. Lap 3, he did a 1:29.7, which has given him the fastest lap of the race, and he's held that since that point. We're now on lap 12. Nobody has gone that quick since. Since then, of course, the pace dropping a little bit as the tyres start to go off, but pretty darn steady for him in the Red Bull liveried Mazda. Sturpan in the AMG. We're of course used to seeing PM10 racing now, and you see there he just got how much it affects the car if you catch that sausage with your wheels and don't drive over it properly, and it can chuck you very far right, and if you're really unlucky, right onto the grass and then cause you to crash. And there's a spin from very nearly losing the back of that car as he comes out of the hairpin, but expertly keeps it on the road and is able to continue on without a crash. little bit of applause for you there. You're not getting the full lot. He's 10.7 seconds now clear of the BMW of Panos. And this is one of those lag issues that we seem to experience. And it's very difficult to explain to somebody that hasn't experienced it. When you're racing behind someone that lags like that, how, especially if you're quicker. Now, if your pace is very similar or you're a bit slower, it's not as big a deal. But if you're quicker, it's so difficult to overtake a car that in a straight line you're not entirely sure where on the racetrack it is. And there's one or two people that have this issue, and whether it be the internet connection or what it is. I would always suggest that where possible, you should be hardwired when you're playing online. Sometimes it's not possible. Often, your router and your computer are in completely different rooms, so you might not be able to do it. But it does prevent things like this. But when it comes to, if Avalon does get to the back of him, he's only 1.1 seconds behind and going quicker at the moment. You can see there in the distance. In fact, there you can see how close Avalon is getting in that Porsche 911. And so it's with a little going chase cam. So when the car in front of him is wiggling and wobbling around on the track, and you go for that move, it could well be you go for what looks like a gap, but actually the lag has just put the car there, and you can end up with it coming together. And the back end of Panos stepping right out, and that gives Avalon a brilliant run on the back of that BMW. Now he's got to find a way through. Panos just surviving, but again, this is where the lag comes into play. And again, it's very difficult to tell whether it's the car stepping out or whether it's just lag. So Avalon looking at different options. Can he go around the outside, up the inside? Panos is heavily defending this, but it's going to be a difficult one to defend. But this is what I'm talking about now. Avalon's not in a position to dive up the inside there because you just can't be certain. You can't be certain that the gap you see is still there when you arrive. Because you can see the car wobbling head side to side. This is where he needs to get a good run in the slipstream. Back of that BMW stepping out again. Here comes the Porsche. They're side by side. He makes that move. Doesn't even need the slipstream. Just that the back end of that BMW just stepping out every time he comes out of a big braking zone. And he's tucked in behind Avalon now. But that move is done. And I think Avalon's made that stick here. Lap 14. Just thrown my mouse on the floor like I didn't want it. Lap 14, we are on. Bear with me, I don't want to kick it across the floor. I guess I press the button. Why is it when you drop things, they always fall into like little crevices you can't bloody reach? Right, anyway. So yeah, lap 14. This is season 2, round 6 of the Black Flag Open GR3. The current championship leader, PM10 Racing, is in the United States of America right now and can't race. He was not allowed to take his PlayStation with him or his wheel because his wife. Can you imagine that? You go on holiday with the missus and your wife's like, "Why is the suitcase so heavy?" And then you get to your hotel and out you pull the Fanatec and the rig, or a sort of makeshift fold-up rig, your Fanatec and your PlayStation 5, and say, "Sorry, love, I've got some racing to be doing." There'd be a lot of divorced blokes out there, but big balls if you did it. Now Avalon is past him. He's starting to pull out a gap from Panos, so Panos relegated down to 7th place. Next target behind Panos is Wiggy, 13.3 seconds, not getting the supreme performance out of that GT40, that classic Ford that I'm sure he would like to get. Look, it's a very pretty car and it's very quick in a straight line, but clearly not very good at cornering because he's just losing so much time through these corners. Can't do better at the moment than mid 33s. He is doing them consistently, of course, with the occasional low 32, but yeah, a lot of work for him to do. 13 seconds. He's closing on Panos, but slowly. Panos lapping, actually it's quite a similar time, so we just need to up the pace a little bit, do a 31.9 on lap 13, which was his quickest lap of the race, ironically, on medium tyres. Pretty damn cool that. There is Canados back in 9th place. Started out quite well, was in a good little battle for potentially fourth early on, but that is over. He's now back 7.7 seconds behind Wiggy. So that's the one saving grace that Wiggy's got. He hasn't got someone bearing down on him and putting him under pressure, so he can just concentrate on closing that gap to Panos in 7th place. And we're only we've still got 35 minutes of this race left, 36 minutes of this race left, and plenty of racing still to go. I think I may have overestimated when I said 45 laps, because we're only on lap 15. So I think we might be closer to maybe 40. No, not even that thing. Oh, we'll see. Maybe 38 laps. I don't know how I came up with that crazy figure. I don't think I was adding up properly. Bandit running in 10th place, 4.8 seconds behind Canados. Is he able to get that Mustang, get the power down on that Mustang and close on back Canados? I just want to point out that you've left the Virtual Racers Club, said in the style of Thingamajig, the iconic man behind the voice at VRC. But you've got Virtual Racers Club plastered on your windscreen, my friend. Scrubbity, please. Yes, thank you. 1.8 seconds back is Grizz Troopers. He's on those soft tyres. Right, that answers the question of how long those tyres last. Not very freaking long. He went in lap 6. So pretty much 10 laps and those tyres are shot. Look at the state of those. He's got to try and get those tyres home. Even getting the car turned must be really, really difficult. What do you reckon, Sam?
What happened here was a miracle, and I want you to fucking acknowledge it.
Thanks, Sam. You're absolutely right. If he gets the round corners with tyres like that, it is indeed a miracle, and I will fucking acknowledge it. And that's exactly what I've just done. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Jackson. He is ahead of Bandit, though. Has Bandit had a problem? He has indeed.
You can't park that there, mate.
Denied.
He is finally back on track. He's now 15 seconds behind Grizz Troopers, and here comes the race leader to lap him after that big. It was a big accident for Bandit. It's cost him an enormous amount of time. As Kevin comes through, Stormfly comes through, and that you can see is Bandit, and he's already been lapped by Kevin and Stormfly after that accident at the back of the pack. Cost him significant time. 22 seconds. These two guys, 1.7 seconds separates them out in first and second. And then the gap back to Demos, 22, nearly 23 seconds. He's got ahead of his compatriot Thanos. He is back up into that top 3, but at the minute he's just going to have to suffice with being the best of the rest, because the distance between the front two, and if you look at the pace of the front two, Kevin in the anywhere from the sort of high 130s to the low 132s is a pretty steady pace. And look at that for consistency. 5/10 of a second difference over the in the spread of 5 laps there, and in that spread of I think it was 8-9 laps up there in total. There's not more than 1 second difference in terms of time. That's incredible consistency. And that is what separates the guys that win championships from the guys that come in 4th and 5th and 6th, is the ability to put in consistent and quick times. You look at people like Kevin, like Stormfire, like Slipstream, Kaizan, and Wiggy when he's got the right car, and the Yellow Sausages when he finally comes back to racing full time. Avalon as well, very, very capable of putting in, and Demos, let's not leave Demos out of this equation, very, very capable of putting in incredibly consistent times over and over and over and over again. And it is the fundamental difference that separates the greats from everybody else. If you look at the Formula 1 drivers, even the worst Formula 1 drivers, people like Gotifi and Stroll and Mazepin and people like that, they're okay, but they're not great in terms of Formula 1 drivers. And Stormfly into the pits already, and he's back out on the medium tyres. Just a quick blast in for him Odd strategy, but maybe that's that there is a distinctive ploy there. But yes, so you look at and when someone's driving that level, that kind of Formula 1 level, it is the pinnacle of motorsport. Remember, that's the pinnacle of motorsport. They can go out and they can do time deltas within tenths of a second, lap after lap after lap after lap after lap. And if you look at the testing at Bahrain, for instance, and they're cars that were incredibly quick, they're cars that were incredibly slow. But you would have, anyone that watched it for any length of time, you'll see when they were doing some of the longer runs to essentially stress test the cars and see what sort of pace they can get. They weren't going hell for leather every single lap. They would have gone out there with a very clear mandate from the engineers to drive a car at a certain delta, and they will be able to do that at the drop of a hat. You can tell a professional racing driver, I want you to go around this track. Let's say this was a real racing track. You would sit to them and say, I want you to do low 131s every single lap. And there'll be 131.1, 131.1, 131.1, 131.1, lap after lap after lap, which is why they're professional racing drivers. These guys at the top of the game in Gran Turismo, very similar in terms of that. They can put in those consistent times. Are they quick on a track? I don't know. I've not seen them race. I'm sure that Kevin and Stormfly can chuck a car around a track, given the opportunity. In fact, I think I've seen a video of Stormfly actually doing just that in a Porsche. So, they can do it. But that's the difference. That's what separates the men from the boys. Also, Crowbar does that as well. Avalon Shadow, he's diving into the pits. He's gone for an early stop as well. Lap 19, so bang on the half-hour mark. Now, is this medium tyres to the end of the race? I don't think it is. He's gone for the softs, right? So, the question really is, can you make the soft tyres last 15 minutes? If you can, one more stop and you're running to the end and you're going to have nice soft tyres to do that on. Stormfly's opted to go for the medium compound tyre. Now, the gap is now 20.5 seconds to Kevin. He's 6 seconds clear, though, of Demos. So hasn't really got to worry about any pressure from behind. He had such a big gap, he was able to essentially get a free pit stop over the guy in third. So it made sense, actually, for him to pit when he did, because it didn't cost him a track position. It did put him 20-odd seconds behind Kevin. But he's still got, he knows what job he's got to do. He knows that his only challenge on the racetrack at the moment is Kevin. So whether Kevin is 1 second up the road or 20 seconds up the road, it doesn't change what he needs to do. What it does do is it gives him options. Is that he's pit early. Kevin still needs to have this represented pit stop himself. When does he do it? And how close can Stormfly get to him when he does? That's so. Actually, I think it's quite a wise decision to go in early like he did. It's kind of giving himself a potential something to happen, make something change, force an issue maybe. So full rundown. Kevin leads 20.4 seconds from Stormfly. Stormfly 6.7 seconds up from Demos, and that's Demos just lapping Bandit there, who is running in last place in that Mustang Sally. 4.4 seconds clear of Thanos is Demos, and that's 5 seconds up from Sturpan. It's what you do to stop your pasta water boiling over. 13.9 seconds is the gap back to Panos. I was going to make a joke about that, one being Sturpan and one being Panos, but I'm not, because it would be rude. Nearly 15 seconds is the difference between those two. Panos in that M6. He's got a 6.8 second advantage over Avalon Shadow, but remember, he went in early. He's on the racing soft tyres now. Will regain at least that, probably fifth as well, when they go in. Wiggy still out on those medium compound tyres, running in 8th place. He's 11.2 behind Avalon. It's going to be a difficult job today. He's just not getting the performance out of those medium tyres. But it could be that when he puts on some softs, it changes the whole shape of his race. 7.555 ahead of Canados, who is 32 seconds ahead of Grizz Troopers, who has already pitted and gone on another set of medium tyres. So he's going to run a bit longer in this race, but he's going to be lapped very shortly by those front runners. Massive gap either side of him though in terms of actual racing, because Bandit, who's just come out of the pits, is on medium tyres, 36.5 seconds back from Grizz Troopers. So good back marker battle there, and oh my days,
Denied.
You can't park that there, mate.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
and yeah, so he's got the car back on track. There goes, now he's just being lapped by Wiggy running in 8th place. So is it just this Mustang is not suited to these track conditions, or is it just that you know, when you're not having a good day and you push that car, just push it a little bit too hard, and it's not giving you the performance you want. And it doesn't help that, you know, being on the medium tyres, the car's not super duper quick. And that will be, I think, Canados coming through to lap him in 9th place, will it? Potentially. Can't see, actually, I don't think it is. I know it is, it's Canados coming up behind him. A little while yet before he's going to get there, I think. Grizz Troopers taking a very strange line over the sausage, but getting back up to speed. That spin has cost Bandit nearly another half a minute. He's now 57 seconds back from Grizz Troopers. So the lead hasn't changed, come down a little bit, it's below 20 seconds now as Stormfly starts to put in some hot laps. Demos still with the fastest lap, of course, that's a 1:29.7 for him. Stormfly running 19.7 seconds behind Kevin. Pitted nice and early, he had a pit window worth of gap, so he decided to use it. Went in, came back out in 2nd place. Kevin will still have to go in. The problem we've got, of course, is going to be that Stormfly didn't actually put any fuel on board when he went in. So he's going to be running probably for another, I would imagine, somewhere near 3 or 4 laps before he's going to have to start thinking about his fuel. Now, Kevin's in the pits, tyres going on, fuel going in. Is he fueling to the end of this race? That's a big question. So where is Stormfly? Stormfly just coming down now. They're going to be really close, and Stormfly takes the lead of this race but gets all squirrely as he comes through. They're side by side, and Kevin retakes the lead coming out of the pits. Just as Stormfly went a little bit hot into turn 1 and just caught the grass on the inside, and it just unsettled that 911, and it just allowed Kevin to keep that pressure on and regain that position. That's a bit of a disaster for Stormfly. He would have loved to have come out ahead and maybe spent some time holding Kevin up, but that's just cost him a little bit of time, and therefore probably messed with his strategy a little bit. But because Demos has now been in, he's come back on the soft compound tyre, and Sturpan staying out is 21 seconds back. Now, the gap, when Kevin went in, the gap was 19 seconds. He didn't put a huge amount of fuel in, he put some soft tyres on. So he is going to have to pit again. Most definitely is going to have to pit again. But so will Stormfly. But it depends on when these guys decide to do it. Stormfly will most likely come in before Kevin. So he's got one final opportunity to make that undercut work. Sturpan's going to come in now. If this is his final stop of the race, which is certainly possible to do, he could come in, go on the medium tyres and fuel to the end of this race. He's probably going to come out somewhere around, so he's 23 seconds back, so he's going to come out somewhere like there, around where Panos is. If he can get out ahead of Panos, great. If he fuels less because he's going to pit again, he'll come out maybe ahead of Avalon. But the problem's going to be is if he does need to pit again, track position's going to be king. And if he doesn't get ahead of Avalon, he's going to be in a really tricky situation. So there is Avalon closing down now on Thanos. Thanos on the set of new soft tyres. Avalon on a set of older soft tyres. But he's just started, you can see where he's starting to ramp up that pace. Lap 16, lap 17, he was doing low 132s. Then he came into the pits, and since then, 32.0, 31.7, 31.5s, a 30.7. He started to wind that Porsche up, ready to pounce on Thanos when he gets within that 1 second window. He's going to want to tuck nicely into the slipstream on these long straights, and then use the superior power of that 911 through the corners just to make that punchy move that gets him ahead. So, was there a problem with Kevin? Because Stormfly is now ahead. So it looks like Kevin has deserved one of them.
You can't park that there, mate.
He didn't get it, but he deserved one of them. He is 10.5 seconds back. I said there's a mistake in there somewhere, and he's proven that, it doesn't matter how quick you are, how good you are, it's easy to make a mistake. So what he's got to do now is settle in, find out, analyse how he made the mistake, why he made the mistake, make sure he doesn't do it again. But he's also got to try and close down that 10-second gap to Stormfly. He's 15 seconds clear of Demos. So these two guys essentially having a very different race than everybody else right now. Essentially, they can do one pit stop over everybody else on this racetrack and not worry. That's the position they're in. Stormfly right now he can go in the pits right now and come out and still be in the top two. Whatever happens, Kevin needs a few more laps before that's going to happen. But Demos running best of the rest. He is coming up behind Wiggy to lap him. Wiggy is currently running in, I think, 9th position. So Demos running in 3rd, 3 seconds ahead of Sturpan, who will be popping into the pits. Like I said, I was going for a cup of tea, didn't I? He's going to be popping into the pits to change out those ropey as shit medium tyres. We'll have a look just how ropey they are, because we saw that Grid Troopers was Grid Troopers, was it? But I think it was, Grid was on some terrible looking soft compound tyres, but he managed to get them home. That's what the really, really worn medium tyres look like. But without question, Sturpan will be diving into the pits, and we'll see him round this final corner and look straight across to the left-hand side. Dives across the track, takes that Mercedes-Benz into the pits. Where does he come out? Now, I think with 20 minutes left, he can quite easily run to the end of this race. Medium tyres and enough fuel. So Thanos will come through. He's up in 2/4. There comes Avalon. He's through. Panos, how close is he to coming through? He's 23 seconds back still. He's rounding that last corner. Sturpan's still in the pits, still fuel going on board. It looks like Panos is going to take 6th position. Canada's far too far back to capitalise, but there is Panos through. Where is Sturpan? Well, actually, they're really, really close, and Panos not quite. Oh, yes, he is. He was up to speed. He made the move. Panos is ahead. Is he still on the racetrack? Yes, he is. He did kick up some dust, but Panos just gets through. And Sturpan's first job is going to be trying to overtake him. The way he lagged and in the camera angle, and I thought he was about to spin, and I was about to hit the button, but it didn't happen. So 2.3 seconds is that gap already. Bear in mind that Sturpan's on medium tyres, going to be running to the end of the race. He's up against Panos, who is on softs, will need to stop again. And Stormfly stopping early, earlier than I thought he might, but I can see why he did. There is still a little bit of a bug in that I can't get onto the guy in the pits. So Kevin comes through. There's Stormfly in the pits. He's putting on fresh tyres. He's going to fuel to the end of this race. So this is Stormfly's last stop. It's going to be a while before we see how representative. Didn't see how long the pit stop was, which is stupid. But the gap, 14 seconds. So Kevin needs to open up a bigger gap because I don't think 14 seconds is going to be enough. When he has to pit again. So Stormfly running on those soft compound tyres. He clearly feels confident that they're going to take him to the end of this race. Going to need to do about 9 laps there or thereabouts. 9 or 10 laps on those soft compound tyres. Running to the end. Kevin 15.3 seconds up. That's Avalon in the pits for his final pit stop, just coming out. He comes out. Sturpan just got ahead of him. Remember, those Sturpans on medium tyres. Avalon's on those softs. So, two very distinct strategies to the end of this race. In the Stormfly's gone for soft compound tyres, clearly to get to the end. Sturpan went for the medium, so he's gone for longevity over grip. And he clearly feels that that is the more viable solution. Just one lap later, of course, Avalon went into the pits. He's come out on the soft compound tyres, but he's quite good at looking after his tyres, to be fair. So I wouldn't be surprised if his intention fully was to do the last 20 minutes just on soft compound tyres. It was actually not even that. It's going to be, excuse me, about 8 or 9 laps. Knackered already, and I've got a full roster of work ahead of me. 29 seconds back to Canados in that Benson Hedges livery. Can't imagine putting a Benson Hedges livery on this time last year when we were in DRE. You would have got like a 1,000,000 point deduction and had your firstborn child taken away and sacrificed for doing that. I think it looks awesome, and I don't give a toss. And you know why I don't give a toss? Because we're not promoting this to children. I don't let children watch. Well, I don't let children watch the stream. Parents can do whatever the fuck they like, but it's labelled as not suitable for children. So, balls to you. And let's face it, my kids have been surrounded by smoking all of their lives, and none of them have been interested. Do you know why? Because they're better educated. Vapes taste like something. Wiggy, there he is, 9th place at the moment, 34.7 seconds. He's going to the end of the race in that GT40. It's a bloody good-looking car, that, isn't it? Bloody good-looking car. But not super quick, unfortunately. No man's land for him, 34 seconds ahead. Nothing to see here, nothing to see. That's the view he has out ahead. It's a little bit cloudy here at German Trail. Not looking moderate. I don't think it is. Let's imagine that would mix shit up, wouldn't it? But yeah, no one ahead and looking behind. That car in the distance isn't Grizz Troopers. I think that car actually is. It's a car coming to lap him because Grizz Troopers is a lot further back. But we come around to complete lap 28 of what I think will be 37 laps, 34 laps. No, hang on. Let me do the math. No, it will be 40-some laps. I think I was right about 45 laps. Oh, I don't fucking know. We'll work it out. I think there's only about 10 laps left to go because it's 15 minutes. Yeah. About 10 laps left to go. Grizz Troopers 35 seconds back. Oh, it's a little bit squirrely there. But he is 8 seconds. I say he is 8 seconds up from Bandit. Remember at one stage, Bandit was nearly a minute back. He's closed that gap to 7.7 seconds. He's coming into the pits now. This will be his final pit stop. I would not be surprised to see him put on soft compound tyres, a little blast of fuel to make sure he's got enough, and go hell for leather to try and close that gap. But he has closed a significant gap already on the back of Grizz Troopers. 58 seconds, I think the difference was. We look now, so it's down to 26. So he's halved, almost halved that deficit, and now he's running to the end. Kevin just putting in the fastest lap of the race. That's 1:29.3. So just he did it a few laps ago, but that's in his charge to try and stay ahead. Now he still has to pit. The gap is 17 seconds. He needs to put on tyres. He needs to put on fuel. Stormfly can run, I think, to the end of this race in that current condition with those tyres. I think towards the end of the stint, it's going to be ropey as fuck. But I think he could do that. I think it's still very much within his capability of winning this race here. And it will be, and anything within 10 seconds will be down to whatever issue Kevin had that cost him those 10 seconds. Which, the thing is, I don't watch for these guys out front crashing because they don't do it very often. So we need some sort of crash along. There we go, PD. Shall I have a little rant on Sunday about the lack of you developing a crash alarm for spectators, where it automatically flashes to. You can set it to automatically flash to a crash if one of the front runners. Oh, that'd be an awesome feature. Imagine that. Every time, like one of the front runners, if you're not watching the front runner and they crash, it flashes immediately to them. You can see the crash. So Kevin into the pits. He's not reached his pit box just yet. There he goes. Pulls into the pit box. Where is Stormfly? Stormfly rounds the final corner. He's going to take the lead of this race. How big a gap is the question? There he goes. He takes the lead. Kevin's still in the pits. He's coming out of the pits now. Ahead of him, he's got a car he needs to lap first. Now that car is in his way, and it's not going to make it super easy. I'm sure. Well, to be fair, it's if that's Grizz Troopers, he's going to have his work cut out. I think it is. I think that's Grizz Troopers he's got ahead of him. I could be wrong. Trying to work out who it is then. It's Canados. He's flashing his lights at Canados. Get the fuck out of my way. Move. That's what those lights are saying get out of my way, let me through. And Canados says, oh look, you're gonna have a little coming together.
Fuck yeah.
And he gets through. But I thought for a moment it was going to be
denied,
but it wasn't. He does get through safely and can start that charge. The gap, 4.4 seconds. He's on fresh soft compound tyres. Stormfly is on 4-lap old soft compound tyres that he's going to have to take to the end of this race if he wants to win it. He's going to have to be quicker than Kevin. He's going to have to stay ahead of Kevin, and he's going to have some very ropey tyres to do that on come the end of this race. Looking at Kevin there, he's got plenty of fuel. He's got soft compound tyres and everything. And looking at the fuel now, I'm a bit concerned that Stormfly's not going to make it to the end of this race, and I think he's going to have to stop again. And if that's the case, I think he's just far enough ahead of Demos for that to work. But here's the thing: is Demos can make it to the end here. This could be touch and go, you know. If Stormfly does have to pit, which I'm beginning to start to think he might. I don't know, 10. There's 10 minutes of this race left. He's got a quarter of a tank of fuel. That quarter of a tank of fuel has to take him. And we're at 1 minute 30 a lap. I should be able to do the math off the top of my head. So 5 laps is what, 7.5 minutes. So 7 laps. He's got to do 7 laps to lap 40. Get to lap 40. So between 6 and 7 laps on that fuel. I think it's going to be very, very difficult to do. Certainly very difficult to do and keep Kevin behind him. So maybe he has to cut his losses at this stage. If he knows at this stage he can't make it to the end of the race, I think this is when you go in, while that gap between Kevin and Demos is still 20 seconds. He won't necessarily know how big that gap is. He'll know that Demos is right on top of him, but he'll also know that he won't know how big that gap is. So it might be worthwhile, if he's not going to win this race, to dive into the pits earlier, get the soft tyres on, get that extra bit of fuel on, and then run to the end guaranteed with a top 2. There is a very real danger. Kevin quite wide there, and almost taking a bit too much glass and losing the car. There is a very real danger that if Kevin catches Stormfly, while at the moment Demos is just getting dropped into the loving arms of Avalon, who's up to 4th place. But there is a very real danger if Demos can close up a little bit, that Stormfly could be in trouble when he goes into the pits. Be very afraid. That's assuming that he does, of course, doesn't it? He might feel he can make it to the end of the race. What do I know? What do I know about tyre and fuel saving? I just know that I drive slowly and I come last on most occasions. So there's Avalon is being held up at the he's holding up, should I say. Is that Kevin? No, it's not Kevin. He's holding up, is it? Of course it isn't. That's Thanos. Thanos is actually racing him. So that's Thanos really, really close to the back of him. He's on soft tyres, as is Avalon. Avalon's going to run to the end, as is Thanos. But Thanos is bringing bringing it to him right now, trying to find a way through. I actually thought the gap was going to be bigger than that, but alas, no, it's not. And all the time that Thanos is a little bit quicker, but not quick enough to get past, that just allows Sturpan to take that 1.7 second gap and close it down on the back of Thanos. So we could potentially have a 3 or 4 way battle for 4th place. Avalon just edging out a little bit, opening that gap up to 0.6 of a second. But Thanos still coming at him, still looking for a way through, heading up the hill now. He will want to get a perfect exit at the top of the hill here to give himself a slipstream run down to turn 1. Bravery on the brakes. That is the order of the day. There goes Avalon into the final corner and off up the road. There goes Thanos, and desperately trying to break that slipstream, and does pull out enough to not allow Thanos to pick too much up. That's Wiggy coming out of the pits. Thanos having a look up the inside into turn 1, thinks better of it, and good move there from Wiggy to pull over to that left-hand side and let these guys duke it out. Little bit wide in there from the Porsche 911. They touch! Thanos spins Avalon around. That is going to have to get looked at. That was, yeah, that's definitely going to have to get looked at.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. How dare you?
That has cost Avalon absolutely oodles of time. It's dropped him down to 7th place, 12.5 seconds behind Panos. Yeah, that's absolutely devastating. And he turns out, I don't think he saw, I think that was Grizz Troopers coming through, and I don't think he saw him when he turned there, and
You can't park that there, mate.
I think he's rage quit. I think we've lost Patrick to a rage quit there. Yeah, I don't think he saw the car of Grizz Troopers coming when it did. Now, the problem, of course, with him rage quitting is whatever punishment would have been handed out for that racing incident cannot be handed out now. So it's I don't understand this desire to, oh, it's not going my way, I'm gonna throw my toys out the pram and leave the room. It doesn't make any sense to me, because that could have been penalised. Something could have been done. Look, he wouldn't have improved his track position. He would have still had to chase down Panos and do whatever he needed to do. But he could have put in a steward's inquiry, had that looked at. There would have been a penalty applied for it. But because he's not in the room, he can't now claim that penalty. For me, that just doesn't make sense. Personally, that's my personal thought. And during all those shenanigans, Kevin has taken the lead over Stuff has gone, had to go into the pits, get more fuel, get more tyres. He's 17 seconds back now, but he's 7 seconds clear of Demos, so he will still come home in second. So actually, it wasn't as close as it originally looked. But yeah, I mean, we missed that shenanigan while we were watching Patrick. It just went horribly wrong. He was doing such a good job keeping Thanos at bay. Thanos gets a little bit too hot, clipped him, spun him around, and just speared off up the road and left Patrick in a heap at the side of the road, covered in bits of his own broken car. Patrick then made a little error of his own, didn't see the car of Grizz Troopers coming unlapping himself, which he had every right to do. The car in front is slower, and just had a little wobble, crashed again, and then decided to leave the room. Is what it is. But obviously Thanos can now not be punished for that racing incident, because well, the person he did it to is no longer there. I suppose he still could be, but the policy is if you rage quit, then you can't submit a steward's inquiry. And you can't submit a steward's inquiry, it can't be looked at. Right, so Thanos is now up to 4th place. We'll have a conversation with the guys afterwards. I know he's not there, and I know technically we shouldn't be punishing when the person's rage quit, but I think that was significant enough that it's changed Thanos' race significantly enough to give him a lot more points than he would have ordinarily got, because he's up into 4th place now. He's got Sturpan behind him. He made no effort to get the place back to Patrick either, which is the other thing. So I think drive-through penalty next time. We'll work it out, but it's most likely going to be a drive-through penalty if one is put in. Of course, other people can put in stewards inquiry if they so wish, but Patrick can't because he quit. Right, so Thanos in 4th place. Sturpan is 6/10 back. He's 2.6 seconds clear of Panos in the BMW M6. 44 seconds is the gap back to Canados. He should make it to the end of this race. Only a couple of laps left for him. There's a coming together Wiggy into a wall. Was he hit or did he spin?
You can't park that there, mate.
So, cars crashing all over the show right now. And Wiggy in 8th place. Luckily, the gap back to Grizz Troopers is 39 seconds. Yeah. It's astounding. Patrick, if you stayed in the room, mate, you could have put a steward's inquiry in and you would have got a pen away. You shouldn't have quit, mate. You shouldn't have quit. Steward's inquiry it. That's how we deal with it. We steward's inquiry it. Grizz Troopers 28 seconds back from Wiggy, and then it's 31 seconds to Bandit. And Bandit's had a bit of a torrid time in that Mustang, just not been getting the car working too well for him. But Kevin leading the way, 16.2 seconds is the gap out in front. Stormfly just had to have that extra pit stop. He couldn't make it to the end. And that just allowed Kevin to get back into the lead of this race, and he can comfortably bring that car home now and regain the top of the leaderboard while PM10 is off on holiday. Okay, that's cool, Patrick. We'll chat later. Oh, and Stormfly spinning. Does that bring Demos back into contention? Hell yes, it does. There is 30 seconds left. If I think they are far enough into this lap for it not to be another lap. So he's now got some work to do to stay ahead of Demos because he has crashed that car, pushing on this final lap of the race. Where's Kevin? Kevin's not. I don't think Kevin's going to get an extra lap, actually. So this is going to be the final lap. There is Demos, and he's bearing down on the back of that 911 of Stormfly VR46, the current, the newly crowned GR4 champion. And his last order of business day is not chasing down Kevin in the lead. It's holding off Demos, who was in last place pretty much after lap 1 when he spun, now fighting on the final lap of the race for place in the top 2, and Kevin will cross the line as the winner here at Dragon Trail Gardens. Here comes Stormfly. He's got Demos right behind him, 1.1 seconds. Any mistake now, any error, any little slip, and that second position is gone. But nice and cleanly through the last 2 corners, turn 13, turn 14, and he will head down towards the line and take second position. Second place for Stormfly, third for Demos. Thanos will come home in 4th, Panos in 5th, Sturpan in 6th, Canados comes home in 7th, Wiggy in 8th place, Grizz Troopers finishes it in 9th, Bandit will finish in 10th place, but there is your race winner, Kevin 77. Another superb drive from him. Certainly an incident to look at between Thanos and Avalon. Avalon in a really, really good position. Had Thanos bearing down on him. Thanos catches him, spins him around, and then it just goes from bad to worse for Avalon, who from being 4th in this race to did not finish after rage quit. Yeah, so there we go, is what it is. So Kevin from Stormfly, Demos, Thanos, Panos, Sturpan, and we've now got this brilliant little resource where we can go, hello. There it is, that's it there. Wiggy in 8th place. Next page, Grizz Troopers, Bandit, and then Avalon Shadow with a DNF at the back of the pack. There we go, done and dusted. Thank you very, very much. All finished. We are back tomorrow with more F1 action at 7:15 with Smoking Pirelli's Tier 1. Yeah, your Ferrari tactics, absolutely spot on. Yeah, Smoking Pirelli's Tier 1 Thursday, and that's at 7:15, and then straight afterwards we are back for Rivals Evo versus the WRX into the last few races of that series That is from 9 p.m. tomorrow. All that's left really for me to say is thank you very much for joining us here for this GR3 race. That was round 6, I believe. Yes, it was. It was round 6. We move on. It will be round 7. I don't even know where we are next week, but it is what it is. Anyway, I've been Aaron Pyatt. This has been Black Flag Racing TV. That was the Open GR3 with Black Flag E-Racing. Catch you tomorrow for some more F1, followed by Rivals at 9 p.m.